Hey y'all, it's Dave. Just trying to explain a little bit about this word cloud business and how you can actually find words and or topics to title your next videos to help at least point yourself in a good direction so you can try to get what your next customers are going to want you to do a video on, or at least title it that way and maybe discuss it a little bit in your next YouTube video. So essentially what we got here is I'm helping out this channel Scratch, which is actually a wonderful data science company. What they do is they have a website where you can practice your SQL for your data science interviews on their website without setting it all up yourself, which is fantastic because it's a huge pain. And on their channel, they also give you a lot of tips on how to do better data science interviews and how to prepare for them. So what we did here is we found a whole bunch of channels, about 30, that have overlapping subscribers. And I'll get to that, how I found all that later. But essentially, all of these channels have people that have, or users that have subscribed to those channels as well as to Scratch. I actually use a little machine learning to predict which of these channels will send the most customers over to Scratch. But essentially what we want to know is which words and which topics should we do for these customers that are likely to come over to Scratch in the future and for those that are already there. And what we found is that crypto is huge. Programmer tend to be in the titles for very successful videos. M1 is an interesting one. That's the M1 Apple chip. Discussion on that. Day in the life is a big one. Game is used. Coin, probably Bitcoin. And interview, of course, people preparing for interviews and certifications. Now, this is one of the word clouds that I've come up with. There's a whole bunch more, which we'll kind of look over a little bit. What we did is we took all these channels, and for each video there's a bunch of information on the view count. And these are done by view count. And so I did the top 10% videos of all of the videos from all these channels. And we said which, the top 5% that have these words, let's take all their words and find the most used words from that. And here we are. Now there's also the bottom 5%, as in the ones that have the least view count over here from all of these videos, or all these channels, the videos that from all these channels that have the lowest view count. And these are the words that were contained in the titles. This is just titles right here. For those videos. So we have GitHub, we have highlight, we have structure, we have example, subset, repository, also probably even related to GitHub. Super important to have GitHub in general in coding. However, it looks like it's not really giving people many views for their videos. So this is one of the ways that I've sort of found these words for them to use in the top 5%. But we can also look at it's the top 30% to find different words. These are the descriptions, by the way, not quite as useful, a little more confusing with the words. But the top 30% is also fantastic because it shows us for the titles, millionaire, query, a little bit of YouTube crypto still in there, and things not to use in the bottom 30%. Bottom 30% you have transform, also GitHub, highlight, structure, things like that. Keras, I imagine, is in there. Fast AI blur, which is interesting because I like fast AI. Yeah, so those are the bottom percentile there. We also have the bottom percentile description. Now, if you want to get a little more specific, these are all by word count here, but I also did some clouds using not the top 30% and bottom 30% by word count, but by view count, but by views per minute, right? So this is actually, in case a video is longer or has been around for longer than the newer videos, we basically did it by views per minute. So you can find a sort of way to equal that out a little bit, just to double check, to make sure that it's not just older videos are winning. And so we have query here, Google, crypto, millionaire, Rust, Bitcoin, don't know what Rust is, SQL Bell, chart, structure, things like that. Those are in the lower 30 percentile. And of course, we can sort of peruse all these different things to get different ideas. But essentially, from looking at this, I'd say crypto and millionaire, those are things if you were looking to get more customers from the outside to shoot for those from these top 30 channels, which were proven in some ways through previous data, which I'll kind of talk about in a second, to give you more subscribers. And of course, we can also see these are the actual in views per minute. These are the actual titles used day in the life. the engineer working from home, how programmers attend meetings at big tech companies. These are just looking at titles where these words are coming from in general for those word clouds. We can also break it down by just these top 10. Now these 10 are specifically our favorite videos from doing the analysis of the other information that I'm about to show you. These are the ones that seem to predict that a user is more likely to subscribe to StrataScratch, particularly these up here. And top 5%, it's a little bit different. We still have M1, certification analyst is huge, SQL, Google, Studio, queries in there. Engineer is actually in the bottom 5 percentile. This is by view count. Python's the bottom. And then we can kind of glance through some of the other ones as well. Engineer still. Engineer cookbook is in the lower. Studio Tina. Probably that's involving Tina Huang. Analyst query. These are for the by views per minute, top 20%. Analyst query. And AWS looks like that's not supposed to be very useful for getting, anyway, your top video, your top views. Though I'm sure it's very useful with the other stuff. And here's those. Now, where did these come from? To kind of go through it a little bit in a speedy way, I went through and I got all of the people who commented on StrataScratch, and I found whoever was allowing us to see their subscriptions, which channels they were subscribed to. And by looking at the channels they subscribed to, I could find out where they overlapped and use those channels. So we saw that of 1,216 subscribers to StrataScratch, the 401 of them subscribed to StatQuest with Josh Starmer, 393 to 3 Blue 2 1 Brown. But then you'll notice like Ken G is in there with 302, Tina Huang 321, and so we can kind of even parse that down to a little more specifically. We can see we can do it by who's commented 6 times, which channels, how many people who have commented over 6 times have also subscribed to these other channels. Looks like Tina Huang wins with number 9, Free Code Camp as well. And then at the bottom we have like Brightside and Vex, which you can also see. But then we also can see 4 comments, 2 comments. These are 20 people that commented twice also subscribed to Tina Huang. 39 that commented twice also subscribed to Free Code Camp. And eventually we kind of scroll down and keep going down and do a lot of analysis on this stuff. And I eventually create a random forest model that basically takes this information and uses it to predict whether or not a user is going to subscribe to StrataScratch, which is pretty cool. And so we end up with these little predictions. This is someone who subscribed to StrataScratch, and the random forest, using all the information that we have on their subscriptions, said that they're 0.97%, or they are 97% likely to subscribe to StrataScratch. And this is the breakdown as to how. They subscribed to Tina Huang. This is when they did. And so you can see that's a plus. Now they did not subscribe to viewership, but that's a plus, which meaning that if users subscribe to viewership, they're less likely to subscribe to StrataScratch, which is super interesting. And it kind of goes through these different channels to say whether or not they are more likely or less likely to subscribe to StrataScratch if they subscribe to those channels. And you can see it done in a different way too. And this is how we found that Luke Barros was super important, Tina Huang was super important, Tableau software is the opposite of important, and Krish Naik, very important. If people subscribe to these channels, they are very likely to subscribe to StrataScratch. And so that's how we found those channels to focus on to see what's going to have the biggest impact for next topics. If you'd like to see the full notebooks, you can check my GitHub, and I have links to that here in this post. And otherwise, good luck with all this fun stuff. Feel free to ask me any questions. I love talking about this stuff, maybe a little too much, and hopefully I'll see you all around. Cheers.